A warrior is one who is able of coming and going from one world to another.
Warriors cannot possibly wish to be somewhere else because they live for challenges.
A warrior must love this world if he wants it, seemingly so banal, to open up and show its wonders.
Warriors live in a world free from the sick habit of worshipping everything human.
Warriors are worldly men, without the slightest mundane interest.
A warrior acts as if he knows what he is doing, when in effect he knows nothing.
The choice, for a warrior, is the act of elegantly accepting every command of the infinite.
Even the worst tyrants can be entertaining, provided, of course, one is a warrior.
Freedom is like a contagious disease, it spreads. Its bearer is an impeccable warrior.
A warrior considers himself already dead, so there is nothing to lose. The worst has already happened to him.
The discipline of warriors is the ability to face without regrets and without expectations whatever comes our way.
A warrior lives by acting, not by thinking about acting, nor by thinking about what he will do when he will finish acting.
It is not so difficult to let the spirit of man flow and take over. To sustain it, however, is something that only a warrior can do.
Warriors who scrutinized the infinite found that the infinite scrutinizes us in return with cold, inexorable indifference.
The way of the warrior is a state of awareness, the ability to use energy fields that are never used in the perception of everyday life, as we know it.
A warrior seeks nothing for his relief. If he's good at talking, he confides in a friend. Otherwise, he shuts up.
Warriors do not view the world in light of what others owe them, but in view of their ability to pay their debts, not to be bound forever.
Warriors live with death at their side, and because they know that death is with them, they draw power and courage to face anything.
The common man worries too much about loving others, or being loved by them. A warrior loves whoever he chooses to love, and that's all.
Freedom, for a warrior, is freedom from all human dependencies. However, this does not prevent him from being kind and helpful.
A warrior takes responsibility for his acts, for the most trivial of acts. The average man acts out his thoughts, and never takes responsibility for what he does.
The average man tries to avoid challenges. The warrior sees in them amusements, games to be won. And it's more fun to win, so he wins them.
The warrior who is aware of the traps of personal importance, of the traps of social order, of the traps of reason, only wants freedom. Freedom is a leap into the unimaginable.
A warrior does not cry. His anguish is a cold shiver that runs up his spine, an expression of the vastness that comes from the depths of the universe.
A warrior learns to make every action count, since he will only be in this world for a short time, a time actually too short to know all its wonders.
A warrior is a hunter. He calculates everything. That's control. Once his calculations are over, he acts. He lets go. That's abandon.
The average man becomes aware only when he thinks he should. The condition of the warrior, on the other hand, is to be aware of everything, always.
An average man is too concerned with liking people or with being liked himself. A warrior likes, that's all. He likes whatever or whomever he wants, for the hell of it.
The way of the warrior is a journey of return. We return victorious to the spirit, having descended into hell. And from hell, we bring trophies. Understanding is one of them.
Warriors have no life of their own. From the moment they understand the nature of awareness, they cease to be human beings, and the human condition is no longer part of their horizons.
For warriors, there are no manuals, procedures, or methods. The only thing that matters is the shift in perception, which is not caused by any procedure. It is an effect that occurs on its own.
The basic difference between an ordinary man and a warrior is that a warrior takes everything as a challenge, while an ordinary man takes everything as a blessing or a curse.
Warriors can see horrifying worlds, and yet in their everyday behavior, no one would notice it. They talk and laugh with friends and strangers, as if nothing had happened.
A warrior knows that nothing is more important than anything else, thus after acting, he relaxes. Nothing worries him anymore, he knows, it's none of his concern anymore.
Warriors do not follow a prescribed set of rules in order to have impeccable behavior, because there are none. Instead, they use their imagination to adapt to anything that makes their actions fluid.
The average man is either victorious or defeated, and, depending on that, he becomes a persecutor or a victim. These two conditions are prevalent, as long as one does become a warrior. Being a warrior dispels the illusion of victory, or defeat, or suffering.
The hardest thing in the world is to assume the mood of a warrior. It is of no use to be sad and complain, and feel justified in doing so, believing that someone is always doing something to us. Nobody is doing anything to anybody, much less to a warrior.
A warrior must focus his attention on the fact that he has no time, and let his actions flow accordingly, without sadness or remorse. Only under these conditions do his actions gain their legitimate power. Otherwise, they will be, for the duration of his life, merely the actions of a madman.
Practical rule: if you feel and act like an immortal being, who has all the time he wants, you are not flawless, you are not a warrior. You must then turn around, look around, and you will understand that your belief in having time is foolish. No one survives on this earth.
The infinite, the spirit, the abstract, the mystery, the magic, the intent, the being, God, life, as the warriors call it, is the power that sustains the universe. It is the force that defines everything that happens in the world. There is no way to speak of it, except metaphorically.
The infinite is an abstraction because it is known without words or thoughts, and because it cannot be imagined or explained. Yet, without any possibility of understanding it, a warrior maneuvers the infinite, recognizes it, greets it, approaches it, becomes familiar with it, and expresses it through his actions.
The first principle of the warriors is that they choose their battleground carefully. A warrior never goes into battle without knowing what the surroundings are.
Discarding everything that is unnecessary is the second principle of the warriors. A warrior doesn't complicate things. He aims at simplicity.
A warrior applies all the concentration he has to decide whether or not to enter into battle, for any battle is a battle for his life. This is the third principle of the warriors. A warrior must be willing and ready to make his last stand, here and now, but never without a plan.
A warrior relaxes and abandons himself. He fears nothing. Only then will the powers that guide human beings open the road for a warrior and aid him. This is the fourth principle of the warriors.
When faced with odds that cannot be dealt with, warriors retreat for a moment. They let their minds meander. They occupy their time with something else. Anything would do. This is the fifth principle of the warriors.
Warriors compress time. This is the sixth principle of the warriors. Even an instant counts. In a battle for your life, a second is an eternity that may decide the outcome. Warriors aim at succeeding, therefore they compress time. Warriors don't waste any instant.
In order to apply the seventh principle of the warriors, one has to apply the other six. A warrior never pushes himself to the front. He is always looking behind the scenes. Thanks to this, the warrior manages to avoid or neutralize conflicts.
Applying these principles bring three results. The first is that warriors learn never to take themselves seriously. They learn to laugh at themselves. If they are not afraid of being a fool, they can fool anyone. The second is that warriors learn to have endless patience. Warriors are never in a hurry, they never fret. And the third is that warriors learn to have an endless capacity to improvise.